doing my presentation on Franz Kafka. My name is Melissa Jaher. Okay, so Kafka was he was born into a middle-class family. His family was Jewish and they spoke German. He was born in Prague, which is the capital of Bohemia, which was a kingdom back then. It was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And in this picture that I have to the left, Prague is actually in Czechoslovakia, present day. And this to the right is a picture of him when he was smaller. Okay, Kafka's father, Kafka's father's name was Hermann Kafka, and he worked as a traveling sales representative and then established himself. He established himself as an independent retailer. Kafka's mother was Julie, and she was better educated than her husband. And together they had 6 children together. And Kafka was the eldest of the 6 children. 2 of the younger brothers died when they were 15 months and 6 months. Kafka had 3 younger sisters. Both of the parents were usually absent from the home because the mother helped to manage her husband's business, so the children grew up with governesses and servants. Kafka's sisters were sent with their families to the ghetto where they died in concentration camps. Kafka learned German as his first language. He was almost fluent in it. He also acquired some knowledge about the French language and the culture. From 1889 to 1893, he attended Deutsche Knabenschule, which is a boys' elementary school. His Jewish education was limited to his bar mitzvah celebration at 13 and going to the synagogue 4 times a year with his father. After elementary school, he was admitted to Alstader Deutsches Gymnasium, which is an academic secondary school with 8 grade levels. Then he was admitted to Charles University of Prague. He first studied chemistry but switched to law in 2 weeks. This offered a range of career possibilities which pleased his father. It also required a longer course of study. He joined a student club called Lies und Redhal der Deutschen Studenten, which organized literary reading and other events. Here is where he met Max Brod. So here he met Max Brod, which would be his longtime friend, and Felix Wiltschenschul, who heavily influenced Kafka's idea to pursue his literary interest. Kafka obtained the degree of Doctor of Law on June 18, 1906. He performed an obligatory year of unpaid services as law clerk for the civil and criminal courts. And the picture above is Deutsche Knabenschule. The picture to the left on the bottom is Alstader Deutsches Gymnasium, and the picture to the right on the bottom is the Charles University of Prague. Kafka worked at Assessorzani Generali. He was hired there, and he was an Italian insurance. It was an Italian insurance company where he worked for a year. His working schedule, which was from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m., interfered with his writing, so he wanted to find another job. So on July 15th, 1908, he resigned and found a better job at Workers' Accident Insurance Institute for the Kingdom of Bohemia. He received several promotions, which showed he was a hardworking employee. And the picture that I have here is actually the first job that he got, which was Assessorizzani Generali. This is just a brief timeline of Kafka's literary works. In 1912, he published The Metamorphosis, followed the year after he published The Mediation. The next year he published Before the Law, and then 2 years after he published The Judgment. 3 years after he published In the Penal Colony and A Country Doctor, and 5 years after that he published A Hunger Artist. After that, he died, so Max Brod, his friend from college, actually published the last 4 of his books. So in 1925, Max Brod published The Trial, and the next year was The Castle, followed by America, and lastly The Great Wall of China. So I'm going to go in depth about The Metamorphosis, since it was the most popular and best-selling short story that Franz Kafka wrote. So basically the summary of this book, well, the short story was Gregor works as a traveling salesman. He wakes up to find himself turned into a roach. Frightened and fatigued, he doesn't want anybody to see how he looks. Unfortunately, his boss shows up to his house. He has never missed work or has never been late. He is forced to open the door by his father. His boss is scared and runs out of the house. His parents, on the other hand, are also terrified. As the days goes by, his sister and his parents seem to care less and less about him. When his mother decides to move furniture around, she passes out when she sees him. The father thought Gregor wanted to attack the mother, so he throws an apple at Gregor and that injures him. Gregor dies as a result of the action, and in the end, the family seems more happier. So in the Metamorphosis, there are themes such as the impractical event. Like, this wouldn't occur in real life because it's very unrealistic for a person to turn into a roach. The next one I have is unexplainable transformation, because in the story they do not give an explanation as to why Gregor transformed into this roach. Absurd, because the family's disgust of Gregor. Unquestionable. The characters are unquestionable because they don't seem as stunned, or they don't question Gregor about his transformation. And the next one is alienation. Gregor doesn't connect with the family, he's removed from the family. And I also have the disconnection of the mind and body. Gregor's mind hasn't changed from his transformation. His transformation made his appearance change. Gregor still wanted to go to work. Although he transformed, he still wanted to provide for his family. Although he couldn't do anything about his transformation, his intentions remained the same. Okay, I have sympathy or remorse. Was the family sympathetic, or were they remorsing over Gregor? So his family members struggle between the emotions of sympathy and disgust. At first, Gret, which is his sister, and the mother showed remorse towards Gregor. Greg takes care of Gregor since his transformation. She made sure he had his meals and she included his favorites to eat. And after a while, it seemed like Brett and the whole family together started caring less and less for Gregor. The family decides it's best to just let Gregor go, and after Gregor's death, the family seems a lot more happier. And it's like they don't feel anything for losing Gregor, like he was nothing to them. The motifs are the metamorphosis, because there's continuous change throughout this short story. Everybody grows and they change, and sleep and rest is also one, because Gregor is constantly sleeping or he's tired. Money is also another, because the Samsov family has great concern for money since his father's business had failed, so they have a lot of debt to pay back. And I included symbols like food, because food represents the way the Samsov family shows like their feelings towards Gregor. That's the only thing that they could give to him, so those were basically their feelings. And the father's uniform, which signified dignity. Next, I have the death. In 1912, Kafka met Phyllis Bayer. They were engaged to be married twice. However, their relationship ended in 1917, and in that same year, Kafka began to suffer from tuberculosis. He was supported by his sister Otla. In 1923, he moved to Berlin to distance himself from his family's influence and to concentrate on his writing. He lived with Dora Diamant, who is a 25-year-old kindergarten teacher, and she's Jewish. Dora became his lover. Kafka suffered from clinical depression and social anxiety throughout his life, as well as other complications. He attempted to counteract these ailments by naturopathic treatments like a vegetarian diet. Kafka's tuberculosis worsened over the years, and he returned to Prague, where he died on June 3rd, 1924, and he was buried on June 11th, 1924. And here are my sources that I use.